All right, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Food Fitness Family. It is me, Body Shop Poppy. I'm also Blankslate Fitness. If you are the first time listening, we have Mr. Beautiful, Mr. Thriving Lives Fitness, Marcus Gates. How are you doing today, Marcus?
Wonderful, man. It's 7 a.m. It's way better than 6 a.m.
And then we have, who do we have today? We have a special guest. And a guy like this just makes you want to wake the fuck up in the morning and get a big yeah. So, John, how are you today?
Huge.
Yeah,
And I got to wake the F up too.
I
I mean,
already know.
that's
I
like
already know he
definitely
did it.
that's the other thing I didn't talk about. Like I got it on my nightstand, so like as soon as I take my CPAP off, the first thing I do is I take a big snort of smelling salt, and I go yeah, and I get on my treadmill. I put on my what do you call these? My shorts. And I
It's
get
short.
What do you call these
I get on
things?
the treadmill.
These legless pants that I wear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I meant to
So,
say, I
the
love
important
the
thing to remember to do in the morning is put on your pants.
uh,
I love the gold stringer too.
This is classic. This is
I
actually
know.
from. So you were talking about like there was a point I just went and I traveled everywhere. Like, and when I was traveling, like this is kind of like I mean, it was before I launched my pre. It was really when I started. Like in 2016, I got like super into like I was already obsessed with bodybuilding, but I became like fully immersed with bodybuilding. And my friend Lucas and my friend Ryan. Lucas has been an online trainer for a long time, one of my friends, and my friend Ryan. Like we started traveling to different gyms, and Gold's Gym Venice was one of the ones that,
Yeah, fuck yeah.
of course, like we had like a setup though before COVID happened. We'd stay in this little place at the canal and we'd walk to Gold's Gym Venice and we'd go to the comedy store and we do all kinds of stuff. We go to
Dude, I
the
love the comedy store. I go there every time I go to LA.
well,
Them
it's gone now. It's not
in
even the same
Venice.
thing. Now you gotta go to Texas to see Rogan. And then we go to the it was the Staples Center, now it's the
Yeah.
crypto dome. Yeah. Some good times. We're actually
yeah,
at the I got to train with Charles Glass a few times. That was really cool.
that's
That's
pretty
dope.
dope.
Yeah. It's always
That's
cool
really
seeing him
sick.
out there.
It's different, man. It's like, well, yeah, it's like, well, the first time I trained with him, actually, like one of my friends had like surprised me with it. She's like, "Hey, will you come to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning?" I go, "Are you out of your freaking mind? Like, what are you doing at Gold's Gym at 6? I had no idea." And she's
Yeah.
like, "The next thing I show up, I'm working out with Charles Glass." I'm like, "Okay, well, this is like
That's,
one of the best like surprise
yeah.
presents a woman's ever given me in my life."
Yeah. Robbie Robinson's always out there training with his fucking full on glasses on, just like in his own zone. It's so
That's
it's
so
so
weird.
it's so awesome to watch.
Well, you got like
Well,
your whole characters. You have those two brothers too. Those two like what do you call them? There's two brothers. There's like a whole Gold's Gym like um
Mafia,
mafia, I guess. Yeah.
they're all known for it. But
It's cool.
well, before we get rolling too deep, we'll kind of go over our last 7 days. John, we'd like to go over our last 7 days to kind of like it's a way for us to kind of like I don't want to say vent, but keep people up on like what we're doing, what we have coming down the pipeline, things like that. So Marcus, you want to roll with that? Oh, first of all, was my entrance better? Because I didn't want to mess it up. Is that okay? I'll work on it for you.
That was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Um, no, anyways, though, last 7 days were good. Last week was a very, very busy week client wise. I think I signed up like 7 news. So I had like
Nice.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was just cranking them out. So that was all good stuff. And then that kind of paved the way for a smooth Monday and Tuesday, fireworks and all that good stuff. That's about it though. Next 7 days, I don't really have a whole lot going on.
Dude, that's what's up, man. I actually signed three last week, so it was nice that I'm kind of like back on my game.
Take it back
Now
up.
that the gym's open, I have a little more. I don't want to say free time, but I have time to focus more on my coaching and put out more content. And it's not coaching is not all about content and putting it out, but it's like I mean, as much as you like, the more I put out, the more I see come back. So it's like I'm just trying to be on that. I also started some more new morning routines. So I've been waking up pretty early. I just feel like I'm not doing enough to be successful, and I'm not pushing hard enough. And sometimes I'm just running out of time in my day. So one thing I started doing was I started waking up 90 minutes earlier, and I'm trying to get like 3,700 steps in before. I'm trying to get my reading done. I'm trying to get my social media post like ready for the day before my family wakes up so I can start working and have that time.
That's smart.
And I really enjoyed it. I started Relentless this morning, and then I started I haven't read it, so I'm really excited about it. And then I just
I
started
read
a
it
book.
12 times.
Jesus, I'm already pretty into it, yeah. And I just started reading a book called Keto Flex. So I'm actually about to start a keto diet myself. I've always talked mad shit about keto dieting, but it's because I think there's people think they're just keto by going low carb and they don't understand it, or they're just eating pounds of sour cream and cheese. And it's just like, I want to go about things the right way. And a lot of times with clients, there are times where I need to implement something like this. So I just want to better understand it. And I would rather guinea pig myself than guinea pig a client. You know what I'm
Like it,
saying?
yeah.
So yeah, it's been a good week. We're trying to finish rehoming our dog. I have one guy I'm going to tonight, so hopefully that goes well because it has not gone well so far because the baby will be here soon. And then shit, by the time this comes out, will be Monday. So if you guys are not at the Body Shop grand opening in
Oh
Lee
yeah.
Summit this coming Saturday, you're just a loser. I'm just gonna say it. Yeah, you're just gonna be a loser. So we're gonna have a ton of people out there. John, you can't come, right? Because you have other
I'm coming.
obligations.
There's so much stuff going on in Kansas City right now. It's
Yeah.
crazy. We have the Body Shop grand opening. Next week is the S2 barbecue and the Missouri State Championships for
Yep.
bodybuilding. Then we have the WPA World Championship, ABA, WPA, I'm saying it wrong, Clef Strong Powerlifting World Championships in Blue Springs Fitness. There's a lot of like cool like local big stuff for bodybuilder, powerlifting, and just fitness in general right now.
Yeah,
That's
there's
awesome to see.
four of our employees are they have a powerlifting meet the same day as the S2 barbecue in Wichita, and I really wanted to go to support them, but God, it's like so close to the due date that I just don't feel comfortable being like 3 hours away. So we're gonna stay here, and Body Shop is going to be sponsoring the bench press contest at the barbecue.
Cool.
So we'll be there. But John, you should come out, put it on your calendar. I think it's November 18th, Veterans Day weekend, where Body Shop Lee Summit is
Already there. And I
hosting.
talked to Matt.
Okay, hell yeah. Good,
Yeah, it's
good,
already on my calendar. Yeah.
good deal. So well, I've talked a lot. So John, how's your last 7 days been?
Dude, my last 7 days has been great. I just like I guess like right now it's just like, is it ever enough? You know what I'm saying? But I feel like well really like the last month is like I've been so focused on Yep and growing the business and I love that. And actually talking to you guys right now about like signing up clients, like man, I'd love to hear about some of your just crazy conversations you've had with people because I've been talking to more clients and man, like the more I get into it again, I just feel like some of these people that like I've heard some crazy like just coaching stories where people just got
Yeah.
like the guy that told me a coach signed him up and he was paying $515 a month and that was supposed to include drugs, coaching, and a meal plan, and he never got
Oh,
anything.
okay.
And he paid him for 3 months. I'm like, you
Oh
paid the
my
guy
God.
$1,500 to get anything? I'm like,
Jesus.
how
That's
does that
crazy.
happen? Like, yeah, so man, like I think there's a ton of opportunity right now. I feel like the coaching space has just got so clogged down, and like right now, it's like just so many people just trying to make money instead of actually trying to coach people. It's kind of getting out of
Yeah.
control.
Yeah.
Three of my favorites have been I had one guy, and what's unfortunate about this is that these are all local people, so I'm gonna leave names out, but like
Yeah.
one was $500 a month and he made him be vegan and he didn't want to be vegan and he paid him for like 6 months up front, so he hated that. Another one paid for 3 months up front, said he didn't want to run a certain chemical compound that is very harsh, starts with T and ends with Ren, and
Trend.
his first plan had about a gram on it. So that was exciting. And then the last one was these guys I've actually met two people and they were prepping. They were like 12 weeks out doing 2 hours of cardio. And I was like, well, what is your meal plan like? And they're like, well, I just eat calories. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, well, my coach tells me I have to hit a certain number of protein, and then I just fill in the rest of the calories with whatever I want. And they're paying this guy like $400 or $500 a month.
Jesus.
And then they come to me and they get what they get from like someone like me or Marcus. John, I'm sure you're pretty similar. I haven't seen your stuff, but it's like for $250 a month, and they're like, "Oh my God, I hit the lottery." You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's
How,
crazy.
how, how do those cats even sell a $500 program to
Man, I don't,
not have anything to back it up?
dude.
What does that
I
conversation
think
look like?
some of these people are naive, and a lot of these guys are good talkers, and it's like I would say half my clients that I get are, I don't want to say they're broken, but like they come from another coach and have a very bad experience, and it's like they find me and it's like I'm like fixing their problems, and it's like, oh, it's like a breath of fresh air. I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys run into that, but it's
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's really scary. And I think now with social media it's going to start to come out more, and these coaches don't last as long. But I think sometimes a lot of people are, and I'm the same way. I don't like to just start drama, but dude, sometimes people just got to be called out. And it's like, especially, have you guys seen Goobu, his channel?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know who that is.
So this
You,
guy,
you've
you
probably
got to
seen
look
his
at
reels on
you,
Instagram and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
So he does nothing but call out shit influencers for like photoshopping or ripping people off, scamming people money.
Like bad
Like,
coaches and
dude,
shit.
it's like, and he used to be a lawyer, so it's like he
Oh,
fucking digs on these people,
He
and he
just
finds out a lot
he
of
just
shit.
he just went out on like on Mike O'Hearn, like editing his pictures
Yeah, like
and
no whole,
like
like,
big time people. Yeah.
yeah. So he's a lot of fun. It's like,
I think Ben Simmons, the basketball player, like editing some pics and he found
yeah,
and went
yeah.
on that one. Yeah.
So it's like one of my biggest fears would be like to end up on Goob's page, but it's like if you just conduct yourself
Yeah.
and be good with people,
Yeah.
it's not hard. Like coaching
No.
really isn't hard. You just have to be a decent person and it, like want to actually help them instead of just taking their money.
Yeah.
yeah, or
I don't
like
know.
just like some of the basic things. It was like this guy, like I just started working with this guy named Tony. He's doing a Texas Cup. He'll probably be like a bantamweight, like so real small guy. You know, there was nobody really wanted to work with him because he only wanted to run TRT to do the Texas Cup. But I mean, he's a bantamweight and he's gonna come in lean. He's not in terrible shape like where he's starting out at. But like I'm like, hey, like send me check-in pictures. Like, and the guy just sends me pictures like hunched over, and I'm like, bro, I'm like this is like a posing session right now. Like,
Yeah.
you know, every
Yeah.
week, like you should be sending me your mandatories and your and your quarter turns. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you like? And he's like, oh, I never thought of it like that. I'm like, well, yeah, every check-in you're essentially, and then I can actually, that's what you're being like judged on.
Had he ever
So like,
competed before?
yeah, he's competed before
Yeah.
actually.
What the
He's
fuck?
just
Yeah.
never.
Well,
Wow.
He's actually done well. I mean, the bantamweight
yeah.
class, I feel like in a lot of shows, isn't like insanely competitive until you
Yeah.
get
Well, and
like
they're probably a welter because a lot of shows don't even have the bantam class unless they're,
yeah.
but yeah, man, it's really sad. And I'm John. I'm sure you know a lot of people who, especially there are some local coaches that I know of. And listen, I'm not perfect. I don't think I know everything, but I think I'm pretty decent at what I do. And it's like PEDs are just pushed on so many people, and it's really sad. And like if you're a coach and you're just like pushing PEDs on people, that just like tells me right away you don't know what you're doing, and you're using the PEDs to like to fix that. You know what I mean? It's like
I think that should be the client's choice. I mean, like
it
there's a
should
guy.
be.
It should be.
It
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah.
I talked more people out of PEDs than I put on PEDs, and it's like
Yeah.
I know I had a girl come to me not too long ago, and the reason she left her last coach is because she was adamant she wanted to stay natural, and they gave her a fat burner, and lo and behold, it was clean. So now she can't even compete in the natural
That
things,
sucks.
and she didn't know what it was. They just told her it was a fat burner.
That sucks.
Good. One sec, we got a visitor. I'm here.
What's up, bro?
Say what's up.
What's up?
Are you huge?
Mm-hmm.
Show me your muscles.
Can you give me a flex?
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh,
What'd
so
you eat?
big.
What'd you eat for breakfast this morning?
Eggs.
Thanks.
Nice.
Oops.
Mm.
Did you
all
get
cooked in
a
grass-fed
sufficient
butter.
amount of protein and carbohydrates out of your breakfast?
Can
Let's
you say, yep?
Yep.
Yeah.
Watch cartoons, okay?
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
So,
Bye, bro.
well, let's get back on track since we just had a
Let's do it.
bash.
Let's fucking do it.
So our guest today is John. John, who people who don't know, John owns Yep Strength. So they are a locally owned Kansas City supplement company. But John, I met John probably 6 months ago ish.
Longer than that. Yeah.
Was it?
About
And
a
he's
year.
wow. and he's quickly
Yeah.
become one of my favorite people.
Thank you, bro.
In fitness, I don't think you meet a lot of genuine people. Unfortunately, it's one of those industries. And John is he's very driven. He's focused. He's had a crazy life, and it's just like I think we mesh because people who just grind, like it's hard not to want to be friends with those people. So,
Yeah.
um, dude,
Thank you.
so tell us about John. How did at one point you get out of high school, and then where does it start, man? I know it wasn't always ammonia sniffs and pre-workout in the morning.
No, my first, I guess what I got to thinking about, like, really is like, what was my first, I got to a point in my life in 2016 where I thought about like what I really loved, and going back to that, like, it's always been weightlifting and bodybuilding. Just earlier on, I
What
was
made
found.
you? How did you find bodybuilding? Like, what made you fall in love with it? Like, I know mine. I used to like see the flex and the muscular development magazines. Like when I would go to back in the day when you could go to like the magazine aisle at the store. You know what I mean? What was your switch when you were younger that like kind of drew you to that? Was it like because mine was a picture of Kai Green in an old Muscle Meds ad of him biting the steak and rack
I
doing
remember
like
that one.
7
Yeah.
plates. You know what I mean? It's like we all have an image burned in our mind that kind of got us there. Like, what was yours?
Arnold's Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. My dad
Okay.
had I had just moved in with my dad when my parents were separated, and he was working for a steel company, and he got laid off from his job because they closed it down. And he could have gone to North Carolina and transferred, but he didn't. He stayed here, and he had brought me home that book, and I've read that thing just like religiously cover to cover, and that's really what got me into nutrition, honestly. Like that's what really got me like thinking about like, okay, like there's like something behind this, like, and started to give me an understanding of it. Then I just started meeting people. Like the first two bodybuilders I met was Paul and Eugene. I mean, Paul White's still around. He was at that point competing at the national level. He was like a really high up middleweight, but we're talking like early 2000s. I was working out
Was
with
this in
him.
Oregon or because didn't you
This
live
is
up
in
in like?
Missouri. This is in
Oh,
Missouri.
okay.
This is like during the 24-hour fitness period, like
Okay.
24-hour fitness just opened. You had World's Gym that got bought out by Club 7, then Club 7 got bought out, So this is like going
Damn.
back.
That's a
At
ways ago. Yeah.
one point, Robert Wichman, Tim Lutz, and Brandon Cass were all in the same gym.
Oh, that's wild.
Jesus.
How crazy is that? Yeah, all three of them were in the same gym. They're in that World's Gym, and I happened to just walk in and meet all of them, become friends with them. Cass had taught me a lot about powerlifting, and I just specifically deadlift. Before Cass and before going over there, I'd also met a couple of powerlifters. Keith Parrish, that was like how I kind of started to learn about equipped lifting, and really specifically like some stuff around bench press. I met them earlier on. So here I am, like as a kid, I'm like wrestling and like, getting into powerlifting, like, and getting into bodybuilding, but I'm good at wrestling, right? But I'm doing these other things. And like literally and we talk about my sleep schedule. Like when I was in wrestling, like I'd literally like wake up, go to school, go to wrestling practice, get off wrestling practice, and then go to 24-hour fitness and work out. And then like once I figured out like better gyms, that's when I started going to the World's Gym, because I knew like, but the problem with World's Gym is it wasn't 24 hours then, so I still like 24-hour fitness back then, even though the crowd was better at World's Gym. Arguably, they're different people. So
Yeah.
kind of coming up through this, like before that, I bought my first weight set before I was a kid. Like I bought like it was a power rack with arm developer, like easy bar on attachment, leg curl attachment. So bodybuilding's always been a part of my life. And so in 2006, when I graduated high school, that's when I got my first personal training client. That's when I started working for GNC part-time. That's when I started fighting, and that's kind of like when wrestling, and that's kind of when everything kind of started coming to a head. You
How
know,
how did you get into fighting? Like, who just I don't really know a lot of people that just wait because you're now the second fighter that I know who like has been like really good. So it's like, well, how do you just wake up and decide I want to get punched in the face and punch someone back?
it was just easy transition, man. Like I
From
was
wrestling.
good at wrestling. I mean, my coach Matt Cox was fighting at that point. It's just kind of like it was just kind of the next thing,
Yeah,
the next development from being a good wrestler. Because the thing with wrestling, like the thing with wrestling is it's a great sport, but you know, like as you get older, you're like, well, how am I going to turn this into money?
yeah,
Right? Like how am I going to make money? And you know, fighting was kind of like, you know, you're a broke college student and, you know, you have a scholarship, but like, you know, if you don't have a family that has money, you're like, got to make money, you know?
yeah,
So when you were an amateur, you know, you were fighting in these packed bars filled with smoke and they were paying you like a percentage of ticket sales, you know? So like, and then that was like the argument when I was wrestling for my coach is like, you can't, you're an NCAA athlete. You can't get paid to fight. And I always say, Coach, I don't get paid to fight. I get paid to sell tickets.
yeah. What was like what was like the nastiest place you ever fought that you were like literally fighting? You're like, God, this is awful.
Whiskey Tangos. Well,
I
now it's
was
not even
about to
Whiskey
say that. I
Tango.
went to so many fights there. I probably fucking saw you fighting there.
Dude, bro. I mean, I remember that place it was kind of like a cool, like,
It
it
was
was
cool.
literally like, that would be like, I don't know, like that was like a hardcore, like, bar, like, fighting era. I
Yeah.
don't know how else to explain it, man.
Yeah.
Like, they would have like a good audience. The place was filled with smoke, like, literally just filled with smoke. Um, it was I mean, honestly, like the people like that put it together didn't do like a terrible job other than I was just like, I don't know,
The
it's full of
smoke.
smoke. I fought in some unsanctioned events too, in Oklahoma. Freestyle cage fighting, which actually they have some big cards. I think I actually fought there when I was pro, even though it doesn't go onto your record because it's unsanctioned. But some of those were kind of like a little sketchy. But there was like you know more money involved in some of those
Yeah.
too. Like if you're like a low to mid level like pro fighter, and you know you kind of like want to get some money and maybe fight like some people that are tough, but not be on your record. Like that's kind of like a way. There was a way to do it, is fight some of those Indian reservations, which was fun.
Yeah. And because you were on Bellator, right?
I fought on Bellator. My biggest fight was Bobby Lashley on Titan HD
Nice.
Net. That was sold out like pay per view. My last so basically um, my fighting career, like I guess like I learned a lot from it because like I wasn't like I was very, I'm not gonna say I wasn't disciplined. I would just say I didn't really think of some of the benefits like nutrition and like my sleep was worse then, man. Like I would when I was fighting, I'd wake up, I'd lift weights, I go to GNC to work, I get off GNC, I go to wrestling practice or fighting practice. I get off fighting practice. When I was cutting to 185, I would run like 5 miles. I would go home. I had a girlfriend that I was like living with at the time. Like I kind of feel bad for her because she like never saw me. Stay up all night with her, and then do this like endless circle. Then on Saturday, then on Friday and Saturday, like I go out and party, and I would take I would take Adderall to stay awake. Like it was like the most unhealthy like literally it was like so unhealthy. Like and I'm thinking about it, I'm like okay, I was a professional fighter of like 20 some odd years old. And I had like no idea like what I was doing to myself. I'm like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm
Yeah.
like it was like just a, you know, it's like I did everything right, but I just couldn't like control myself. I could control myself, but I just didn't rationally like think about the cause and effect, you know, that it would have on myself as an athlete at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta go to the restroom. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back.
No
Do you
worries.
think,
No
bro?
worries. Keep rocking though, John. So
Yes.
so what year is that then that you were fighting through?
I
What year?
fought from 2006 to 2011.
There you go. Did you ever run across Rodney Borden?
The
Anything?
name sounds familiar, actually.
He was a dad on our baseball team that he fought for a handful of years. So the entire baseball team would go and like cheer him on and shit at it. So it was always cool, like a bunch of just 9 and 10-year-old kids just screaming like 15 of us screaming for one dude out there. It was cool. It was
That was
cool,
kind of
man.
how the way it worked. One of the things that was cool with me is I went to 2 different high schools. So I went to Blue Springs and I went to Blue Springs South.
Okay.
And so when I had a local fight, like that would
A lot
allow
of
me to
people.
really draw. Like, oh yeah, I mean, everybody wanted to
Yeah.
go see me fight and support
Yeah.
me, and so that definitely, like, when I was younger, definitely helped. It was weird though because it was completely different. Then like Facebook had just started. When I fought
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley, I had like 2,000 friend requests after that. I remember that was like the
Oh, yeah.
weirdest thing. I had no
It is
idea.
crazy.
But what's funny is like then I had no grasp around social media. Like I just
Yeah.
didn't care.
Well,
You know what I
because
mean?
we didn't really know what it could actually do.
Yeah, you had
Like
no idea what.
longevity. Yeah.
Well, we just talked about it. Think about what it did for training.
Oh my God. I mean, that's, I don't want to say that social media is the only reason why I have a business, but it's definitely gotten to me to the point where if social media could left now, I would still have a good client base. I would still get, client referrals and stuff like that from my current clients. But starting it off, yeah, it would be very, very difficult to build one without it.
Well, yeah, because that's where, like, I mean, you get a lot of your free like leads and like,
Oh,
you know
shit.
what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that would be
Well,
like
it shows your body of work.
Yeah.
It shows your body work. Yeah.
Well, and you can actually brand yourself because without social media, it's hard. It's much harder to brand yourself versus being able to just post and make people think fitness when they think of your name.
The branding is interesting. So, like, you just brought up something. I think, like, I was talking to somebody about that. They're like, like, because you got to have your brand, like, what meets you. But, like, then, like, I think a lot of people, like, they want to specialize, like, on a certain person. You know what I'm saying?
Like their avatar, like they're like.
What's your avatar? Do you have an avatar?
No, see, like I mean, obviously a different like mentorship like that. They're always pushing that, but I've never really had one. I guess at this point, I've gotten into more of like middle-aged women is like my kind of bread and butter with it, and that's
I would say that's your thing, like the soccer moms.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're like, I'll take on any client and I'll help any client from age freaking 16 up to 65, and I enjoy that diversity. It's more fun getting to work with different people.
I feel like go ahead, John.
You go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like sometimes like you unintentionally create your avatar of who you want to work with because, I always wanted like freaks and bodybuilders and nothing but that. And like, I do have some good bodybuilders. I just signed a couple of good bodybuilders as well. But I used to never want to coach women. And I don't know why. I never wanted, I don't like, sometimes as a coach, you got to be kind of a dick. I just don't like being mean to women. They're not mean, but like stern. And it's like, but then I started reading hormone books, and then out of nowhere, I'll have people come to me and they're like, dude, I heard you're just like really good with females and you keep them healthy. And it's like, you just unintentionally do it. And now like fucking 65-70% of my roster is all bikini and wellness and all these girls, you know what I mean? And you don't even mean it to be that way.
The different business model, it's like, and that's what you see in Kansas City too. It's like you got like Luther Glover that deals with like a lot of athletes. Have you ever met Luther?
Dude, I think I met him one time a long time ago, and I don't even remember where it was.
I need to introduce you. He's it's like, it's weird because there's like, and one of the things with Kansas City is there's all these different realms.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's like they like I've kind of dipped into like the whole fashion part too. But anyway, like going back to like with what we were talking about, but like Avatar, it's like I don't know, it's like I was I completely stopped doing any kind of training for like the longest time, and then finally like I needed the money, and some people would like hit me up and like, hey, what do I got to do to train with you? And I said, this, they paid me, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'm like, that works, right? And then another person saw me at the gym and they're like, hey, like, what do I got to do? I'm like, this, like, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm like, but like, what kind of made it interesting for me is I picked up this girl named Noelle, and she's a collegiate lacrosse player. She tore her ACL like a year ago. Dude, she's the freak. Well, she's not. She's a good athlete. She's a real good athlete. She came up from like, good upbringing. Like she has a good head on her shoulders. She's a hard worker. She's been like training her legs really hard, and she's honestly like done a pretty good job. But like I was talking to her, I'm like, look, like when you go back into practice, you've been like building all this muscle, and you haven't done any kind of like agility stuff or like I'm like, you're gonna just tear your ACL again unless you start doing that now. You have
or a
to
hamstring or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, you're gonna be and so like to me, like I think that kind of stuff is like it's fun to have somebody like that completely just like off, like where you it makes you think about like because the thing with me is like I have like the football and wrestling background. I mean, wrestling I was obviously better at. I have the mixed martial arts background. Like bodybuilding is like what I love, but I don't know. I guess I don't understand why people necessarily pin themselves down to one thing. I guess if I was going to pin my one down to one thing, it'd be bodybuilding. But the problem with bodybuilders is most of them don't have any money.
Yeah.
And they're fucking and they're high maintenance. We're all high maintenance when it comes to that.
They want the most and want to pay the least. And it's like I love working with physique athletes, but it is nice that we work with also a lot of like normal people because they have the most expendable income. They're gonna stay with you the longest, they're the least moody. And they understand. But yeah, I mean it's like I'm good with guts. It's like, but I don't want to do guts every day, all day, every week. It's like it's nice that I can wake up and like one check-in's for gut, one's for hormones, one is for bodybuilding, one is just for general weight loss, one has an eating disorder that we're working through, and it's like, it keeps things interesting.
And it expands your reach. You can help a lot more individuals, and again, have fun doing it versus getting tired of the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I don't want to niche down. I like being able to work with everybody.
Yeah,
it's fun. So, but yeah, man. Well, so I mean, we kind of get into that. So, like, segue into GNC. You worked there part time. How did you eventually work up? I'm assuming you were store manager, and then you moved up even higher. Like, how did you enjoy that process? What did it teach you? You know what I mean? Because it's going to lead into our next thing.
Yeah, so I'm right now I'm fighting. I'm working at So at first I started working there part time. As soon as I turned 18, this guy named Justin Torbert at the Blue Springs location. They used to have two, but the one that they had closed down off of 7 Highway, he had I'd just go there and I'd just hang out. I don't know how it's kind of like S2, but like that's what S2's done a good job is they made a store where you can really go hang out, and they've created the good people. That's how, GNC never really changed their business model and they kind of got stuck in like an old one. But when I was there, I'd go there and I'd hang out. Like I'd just walk around, I'd look at products. Like, and then by the time I turned 18, he just hired me. He's just like, well, just work and hang out.
Yeah.
And
I worked at GNC for 2 months and I hated it.
Well, it's all about who you work for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like Kyle and Jeff have done a great job. Like, people want to work for them. Justin, he was just happened to be a good guy. I think the problem with like a lot of the places that get so corporatized that it's just like there's no room for creativity.
Yeah, stick to the script and the script only.
Yeah, where I feel like S2, they have a lot of different people and they kind of accept that, and
it works great.
You
can't always have the same person because you're only going to attract the same person. It's like, that's why like one thing, I love about Body Shop is that all of our trainers are different. So they all attract different clientele, which is amazing because we're able to reach so many more people.
Yeah, you got 2 gyms now too.
Yeah.
Thought, man, that's crazy too. Yeah. So anyway, I'm working for GNC and I'm good at like my first customer comes in and I'm like, he said he wanted to get big. I'm like, can I help him? And so like it was like Celtech, Pro Performance 100% Way.
Oh yeah,
and, I use Celtech.
And make him in sport. Like I've just any guy that said they want to get big, like that's just like what I would sell them.
the Luke Creek kick and Gak kicks. You have to take 100 pills a day, and they're all pressed tablets and shit.
Yeah. But so I was good at like that's I guess GNC like I identified like I was good at selling. It taught me how to sell. It like, originally, and then like obviously I was good at it, and there was a shooting in the Ward Parkway Shopping Center location that's no longer there. Same shopping center that S2's in, except there used to be a Starbucks, and someone came in there, and there's a big shooting, and the guy quit, and they said, "Hey, John, do you want to run a store?" And I said, "Yeah." And so instead of the store going down in sales after the shooting, it actually like went up, and they're like, "What the hell just happened?" Right? They're like, but. And Man, that store I completely like turned around and gutted, and then they offered me a senior store manager position, which they don't even have anymore, but like it was like one of their development positions that they had before. And the guy that hired me, one thing I will say is like he was definitely in like development, which is really important. And so I got to grow, but like as first I said no to that because I was focused on fighting, and I was kind of getting pulled back and forth in like both directions. And before you knew it, I was doing all the senior store manager stuff anyway. And so like really at the peak, like I'd lost 2 fights in a row. I lost the Lashley fight, and then my last fight was the Rochelle fight, which originally I won, and then it got turned into a no contest. It was kind of timing, and then GNC's coming to me saying, "Hey, we want to give you a promotion and move you to Seattle." And I'm like, well, that was like a hard choice because here I am, like a broke kid. Like I'm not broke anymore. I'm making money, but I don't really know what money is, and I don't really, like I know I like fighting. I know I like supplements. Like I'm looking at this other life. Like, okay, like I start creating this image in my head. I can get a nice house by the lake. I can get married. Like, so I go down this rabbit hole, and honestly, like it was great. I took the worst performing market in the company, completely turned it around. By the time I was done with the Pacific Northwest, I'd cover stores in Washington, Alaska, Oregon, California, Texas,
Dude, that's
Missouri.
huge. And it's
Yeah.
like, and as a younger person, it's hard to say no to that opportunity when it's like, someone would have came and picked me up and be like, hey, you want to move out here? I'll pay you more money. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you have nothing holding you down, it's like travel nursing. It's like, if I was a single nurse, like you couldn't keep me from travel nursing.
No, yeah.
That's so sick.
Yeah, so I did that, and in 2016, I was just literally like, I'd let myself go. I was completely out of shape. I was basically like, dad bod, like, the woman I married, like, she definitely had like a lot of good qualities, but like, you don't just go out and say, okay, it's like I created a vision and I just did it, right? Like, like we didn't get along, and I ended up in a relationship that just wasn't healthy, and in a spot where I'm like, I'm watching my friends like James Krause and Julian Marquez and all these guys like, enter the UFC and create these careers. And here I am, like, I'm making like good money, but I'm like, well, like, what am I really doing to build my life and my legacy?
Yeah.
So in 2016, like I did like some serious soul searching. I actually got into like running. I run a 5K. I ran a 10K. The 10K I ran, that's when I started getting like really competitive. I went back to this mixed martial arts gym in Washington, and I still had it in me. I started lifting weights again, got like really like into like diet. I put on like 30 pounds in like 2 months, and just like strength like just went out of control. I was like, and then at one point, like I had October 8, 2016 is when I was literally in the morning, I was sitting there looking in the mirror, and I'm like, dude, I gotta I'd sat there and I reflected. I'd read Relentless. This is when I was going, it was like it took a year. Like I started running, I read Relentless like 10 times. I started mixed martial arts training again. It was like a year of really trying to figure out what I wanted. I watched every Jay Cutler, Rich Piana, like
all the YouTube
everything. And that's kind of like where I was like, okay, like I want to actually do bodybuilding because it's the thing I love. Like I know I can obviously do it. I want to get back into like some kind of coaching because at this point now there's like money in it, right? When I was going to college, there was no money in coaching. No. Like, dude, I was even like talking about like training rates today versus training rates in 2006. What did you charge for training in 2006? Do you know?
I was in high school. Yeah, I don't even know.
Bro, I want to say it was like between $30 and $60 an hour.
Yeah,
that's a session.
Right. Yeah, I want to say my parents, I remember one year for Christmas, got me sessions with a trainer. And it was like $200 for like 10 sessions.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was completely different. And I was like,
that's got to be split with the gym too, right?
Well, this was so the church that I went to at the time, they had a free gym.
Oh, okay.
And so we just kind of went there.
That makes
Yes.
sense. That
But
makes sense.
I don't really know the thing, but I think back then you could travel a lot more as a trainer and just pay rent.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Now it's not like that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah. Still crazy though.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like, and that's like, I don't know. I think about like one thing I want to do because, man, it's hard to be like, when I started this, I told myself like, like I wanted to network with everybody, right? Like I didn't want to just like, I mean, obviously, like I favor like the more hardcore gyms like Body Shop and Flex Fitness and like like also the gyms like the foundation's like very supportive of me and like Blue Springs Fitness because I grew up like so like, there's like a lot of gyms like but it's like that's like a hard space to be in sometimes because like like all the gyms are competitive with one another but I think also too they all cater to completely different people like
yeah.
you know what I'm saying like dude like you and like Flex and like Body Shop, like, dude, they're both amazing gyms, but they're both completely different. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like,
we're very similar, but we're completely different.
Yeah.
yeah, it's completely different. Like so, you know, like, like I guess like one thing I'm thankful for is like that people understand like I have good intentions. I'm like, dude, like I want to grow a business. I want you guys to grow your business. Like, I just want to be like I want to be friends with everybody, and I don't
Yeah.
want to have like hopefully like I want to be able to bring people together in a way too. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like having a supplement company like that's one thing that's kind of cool is like you can get stuck really quick if you want to. I mean, earlier on I ran into stuff, but I want to be able to like bring people together. You know what I'm saying? Like I just feel like right now like fitness in Missouri is just like such another level.
Yeah. Well, I think that just goes along with sometimes the fitness industry being a little toxic. It's like if you're friends with me, you can't be friends with that person. It's like, dude, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I have clients who have come to me and do I have to work out here? No. Okay, because I'm just comfortable where I am. Okay, then stay there. Like I don't care. Like I have clients that work out at Flex, I have clients that work out at Chiefs Fit. It
Yeah. It
just go
doesn't
where
matter.
you're happy. But
Yeah.
it's like there are coaches who are like, if you don't work out at my gym, like you are not allowed to work with me. You know
Isn't
what I
that
mean? It's just
crazy?
it's crazy. I think it just shows a level of insecurity in a way.
It's definitely
Um,
insecurity.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's how the fitness scene is, man. And I bet you get it a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Well, I'm always
I'm
like,
sure
I'm
you
just,
hear the most shit being talked out of anyone. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
it's hard because like I'm friends with everybody, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and
Yeah,
honestly, like, yeah, I have like, I guess like one thing, okay, so I moved from Missouri to the Pacific Northwest. Culturally, completely different,
oh yeah,
right? And like one thing like that I will say that the Pacific Northwest did is it made me be able to have conversations with even people that I completely disagree with.
yeah,
And even if I disagree with them, I'm trying to find some kind of value or understanding of why they have their thing in their head. It might be completely wrong or it might be completely right, but like,
Yeah.
like the way I look at it is I'm never going to be able to like persuade somebody or enhance their life, if we're just can't even have a conversation.
yep,
Yeah.
I think there needs to be more people like that. Like
yeah.
that's like I think that's like what Joe Rogan does a great job of.
He does an amazing job of
And,
that.
yeah, or
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
man, I'm really into um I can't that is his name. The white dude that's super smart, AI.
Ben
Uh,
Shapiro.
no, hold on,
Oh,
dude,
the
I can't.
Tesla guy,
Elon
Not
Musk.
not
Elon Musk.
Elon, not Elon. I'm really into Lex Friedman.
Okay,
You
I
know who
don't
Lex
even know what that
Friedman is?
is. Uh-uh.
So, dude, Lex Friedman, like he just had like some insane people. He recently had Elon on his podcast.
Oh shit.
He recently had Mark Zuckerberg, like the guy on, and then he also had the person that created what's it called where you like search something and it tells you all the information on it.
Oh, like a search
Chat.
engine like Google.
No,
Not Google,
Chat GPT.
Chat.
not
Yeah.
Chat GPT, but Chat G. If you guys use Chat GPT,
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
dude,
I've dabbled on it. It's crazy shit. It's absolutely insane.
It scares
what
me. I don't like it.
It should scare
Oh,
you.
bro, it can make your
Yeah.
life so helpful on certain
Yeah.
things, but the problem is it's going to make people so unauthentic.
Oh yeah.
Or it's going to
Yeah,
make people like, the problem is like you could have it right something for
Which we
you,
already have that issue already.
we do. It's
bro, but it
gonna get
takes like
progressively worse.
unauthentic and it makes it like half authentic, although you could do it better.
Yeah.
That's like kind of what
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard, man. I think that's a great, and I think you definitely are like a chameleon. I think you get along a little bit of everywhere, especially,
Yeah.
you're in the fitness or the fashion scene now. It's like, I think it's great that you can do that because not many people can. And it's like, I think Marks and I feel the same way. It's like, there's no reason why we can't have completely different views, but still not get along. Like, I can think of one or two people directly in my life that have been in my life for probably since I moved to Kansas City that dude, our views aren't even close to the same, whether it be political, how we want to raise kids, but it's like we still get along. It's okay.
Well,
Just
as
because
long as
someone has a different view, you don't have to hate them.
if you're just leading with empathy and understanding and just wanting to connect with people, then that's really all you really got to do.
It's
Yeah.
you know what it also is ego.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
And
100%.
I catch myself. I mean, how many times? It's not just ego. It's what's that word where you develop it's ego, but it's trying to think of the word for it, where you look at yourself so highly that you can't put yourself in places.
Godlike complex.
God, I'm trying to think of the word for it. I started going to church more, and it was one of the things that they were talking about, and it made me really think about like just the way I conduct myself. And I'm always like, dude, I make mistakes, but I'm like always like challenging myself, like, how can I do that better? How can I have that conversation with somebody better? Like, how can I help instead of like, I don't know, like sometimes like, oh, that person like, you just like, I don't know. And I don't look at people as inferior. I just like, I get frustrated. I used to get like frustrated.
I think it's good to be critical of yourself. I mean, I can't tell you how many times Marks and I have talked, and like 20 minutes later, I text him like, "Hey, bro, sorry that I said this way. I definitely did not mean it that way."
I just
He's
don't
like,
think that people reflect.
and he's like, "Shut up." And I was like, "I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?"
Which,
It's like,
which I definitely appreciate. You're being conscious of how you're coming across and things like that. And even if it didn't come across like that, it's not a big deal. But
the word I'm looking for is prideful. It's easy to become prideful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like prideful is like, like when I got like I think like pride is like the root of evil, because when you become prideful, then like you close yourself down to other things that like you shouldn't. And I think that's like one of the reasons that people like limit their success. You know what I'm saying?
I think so too. And I think that's why questions like why are so important. I have a client who she has straight up told me that she doesn't really like America. She doesn't like this. She is very anti-Republican, you know what I mean? Which I am very Republican. And I like to have conversations with her. And I just like, and she'll tell me something. I'm like, why? And she'll tell me, and I'm like, okay, well, I understand that, but have you ever thought about this? And then like, we'll go back and forth. And it's like, I think you can have those conversations but still walk away. She's been my client for years. You know what I mean?
And it doesn't have to turn heated either.
No.
And just because she has one thought, that doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean that she's wrong. It just means that you just have two differing perspectives.
Yeah,
I guess like,
go ahead, John.
No,
you're good. No, you go.
Okay, I'll go.
No, I gotta go. No, you go.
You two are so fucking courteous. Somebody talk.
Like, I'll go, you asshole.
Yeah.
I guess so you go from wrestling to fighting, right? Like you start at the top of wrestling and kind of drop down.
Yeah.
You're the best wrestler, but now like you're in this whole fight scene and you're still a good wrestler, but like it's really easy to become prideful in that. And if you're prideful, then you don't get the best training partners, or you don't have the best experiences, right?
Yeah.
Well, then you go from that to being like a corporate guy, right? Then you got to climb back up that whole thing and build your career again.
Mm-hmm.
Then you move to a different state, you completely change your life, right? And then you like start all over again and build something different.
Yep.
And I guess like I just think of like, I always am critical and I think of things that I can think of, and and it's not just like with fitness, it's like, how can I actually be like a better person? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I like, because, you know, like your energy really affects people. You know what I'm saying? If I'm having a bad day and I walk into the gym, any gym, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna rub people the wrong way because you're trying to like hold yourself to like a certain standard almost. You know what I'm saying? Like, or like, you know, it's like you're in the gym, you got to train hard. You know, like I'll have some conversations before, I'll have some conversations after, but like, you know, like what Caleb was talking about, like being able to like have your schedule, plan out your time, right? Being able to like still have conversations like with you guys, like or with me too, like be able to bring on clients or get people brought into your brand or like whatever you're trying to do. You know, then you have like the competitors all over the place. Like, you know, it's very interesting. Like my network, like one of the things that's really grown the most from all this is my network.
Yeah.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
I end up having conversations with some of these people. I'm like I got Jay Cutler's cell phone number.
Yeah.
And I could text Jay Cutler and he will message me right back.
Hey, Marcus has Jay's phone number too. Okay, so
do.
stop trying to act
I
like you're
do.
better than us, John.
It made me feel special.
No, but that's also what makes him absolutely amazing, though, is that
Yeah.
I'm sure he's given out to a lot of people as well, and just really truly just builds.
He actually texts people back, and it's
Fucking
him.
But
it's crazy. He
would
sent me
but
audio
would Phil
messages before, and
Heath
I'm like, what the fuck?
would Phil Heath do that? Absolutely not.
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, man, it's just great, and I think it just grows it, and you attract better people. It's like, and your network really is your net worth, man. And it's like I've learned that, like, you know, I've being young in business, it's like it really helps to know people, just like whether it's a question or whatever it may be, and it's like you get these people who are just willing to help just because like you talk to them.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's crazy what just talking to someone can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what can completely change your life.
Yeah.
You know
Let's.
what I'm saying?
I want to hear more about your supplement company and kind of getting into that industry.
Sorry, bro. Yeah, I'll
No,
get back
no,
on
no,
track.
no, 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 no. This is great, but you know, I'm interested in it as well because I only know so much about it, and I know that, you know, obviously the listeners want to hear about that as well. But I also
Yep.
have questions about the supplement industry as well that I feel like it's such a and that's one of the good things about being a coach is that we can kind of be that liaison of like leading people in the right direction, so they're not just walking aimlessly or just buying random shit that they've seen online with.
Well, a trusted
Guide them
company.
more. Yes,
So
exactly.
something that you can send them to that you're comfortable with. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. So how'd you get into that then? Obviously, GNC was a good starting point for you. Interest in bodybuilding was a good starting point, but how'd you get into Yep?
So there's been different like time periods, right? And you look at like the time of like the rise, like, you know, like I would say before 2006, like, you know, there was a lot of emphasis on what's the next best, greatest thing. It was innovation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like right now, you know, there isn't really as much innovation. It's like, well, it's all marketing. You know what I'm saying? It's all marketing. But the problem is when you're trying to make a unique product, um, there has to be some kind of, it makes it difficult because, okay, when people look at a pre-workout, realistically, they're either buying it from someone because they think they're cool and saw them on social media, or they're buying it because it has 6 grams of citrulline, 300 milligrams of caffeine or more, and like let's say 3 to 4 grams of beta alanine, right?
Yeah.
And then like
when
anything
when
else,
I knew nothing, I would buy a product based off how cool its label looked
Same.
because
yeah.
I knew nothing.
Well, but then you actually have people like start taking it, right? And you're like, you know, so like originally when I started Yep, it was like just like, dude, it was like really, it still is strong. It was the 4 scoop dose, is one scoop. And when I started like sampling it and beta testing it, that's how I got the 4 scoop dosing system down. And honestly, like people like love that. And I think like one thing that's great about my product is like, you know, if you want to really turn it up and do 4 scoops, I mean, honestly, the combination you don't get much better, you know. And the so for example, you have caffeine, you have theobromine, right? Like they're both like good ingredients. Theobromine, it doesn't increase your blood pressure. It's not a stressor. It actually puts you in a good mood. It's a mood elevator, you know. So when you use like a 50-50 caffeine to theobromine, you know, you're taking out, you know, part of the comorbidity factors or the factors that, you don't want, and you're replacing with something that's healthier, that's still going to give you energy and make it actually better. You see what I'm saying? But when you're, so when you have a product though, that's like, so 1 scoop, 75 caffeine, 75 theobromine. 4 scoops is 300 caffeine, 300 theobromine, right? Like that's like, I think that's like one thing that a lot of people don't get and why it hits them harder. Also too, like when you start buying certain ingredients. So for example, like an ingredient I've had trouble with is cordyceps, right? Dude, cordyceps is like one of the coolest ingredients, and it's an endurance enhancer. Like it really will, if you're taking a significant amount of it, it really will enhance your endurance. The problem is the quality of cordyceps. Like, dude, like I met this guy. I met a mushroom expert in Miami. I met
That's
a
awesome.
mushroom expert.
Shocker.
That's
Shocker.
awesome. I'm sure that was a great meeting.
Yeah.
Bro, this dude was really a mushroom expert. Like, I'm
That's
not
great.
joking. Like, it's like he has like fucking mushroom fields, bro.
That's
Like
cool.
this guy has
Jesus.
mushroom fields. Like he raises them. He's like, dude, mushrooms is much like cannabis, whereas you could raise a mushroom, and it can grow, but that doesn't mean it's going to be as potent as one not raised the same, right?
Yeah.
Well, you got cordyceps. The problem is, like, honestly, so I've used like 5 different types of cordyceps, and the stronger the cordyceps is, the harder it is to flavor, man. Like it's just like that ingredient specifically. Like I totally understand why people don't use it, and like it's not. It's like I guess like what I'm faced with right now with the cordyceps, honestly, is like the original stuff I was using. It like wasn't that it was bad. Like it's good. It's just there's a whole nother level better.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you put the better stuff in it. It takes the flavor notch down, and people don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so then you're like that's like been like one thing. Like I've had like a constant, like I'm thinking through my head. I'm like, well, shit. Like I can just use the cheap cordyceps that everybody likes. You know what I mean? Or I could use the better cordyceps that doesn't taste as good. It's like or it's like, okay, well, how do I make it taste right? You know what I'm
And
saying?
it's frustrating because you're like, the better ones make it a better product, but people only care about the taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is so backwards. That's exactly the reason why people are so fucking unhealthy, is because they prioritize what sounds the best, what tastes the best, what is the easiest, and not what's actually going to give you the best results with things. Same thing with food. Same thing with anything else.
So they work out.
in that new book I'm reading, he actually talks about something cool that I never really thought about, and it's like everyone's like, "Oh, I want to lose weight to get healthy." It's like, well, you need to get healthy to lose weight. And I'm like, damn, I never thought about it that way, and it makes so much sense.
That does make sense.
But John, how did you come with your first formulation? Like, did you kind of know what you wanted? I mean, we've all used pre-workouts before. I mean, I know I have my favorites. Like, actually, my new favorite is actually your Stupid Pump formula. I love it. But like, I know what I'm looking for in the back of the label. I know I hate proprietary blends. So one thing I love about your product, and I love watching you pitch your product, because I love how you break down every ingredient, and not just like, oh, it has this much norvaline or this much caffeine. It's like you tell the consumer what that ingredient does. And I've actually learned a lot from you. Like, I didn't really know a lot about norvaline or theobromine. And so I like the education factor.
I've even
behind
heard
it.
of theobromine until just now. You got me wanting to fucking have it.
So like, how did you come up with your formula?
Well, I mean, I came up with over time. I mean, back in the day, man, I would just get all this stuff and I'd mix it together and just kind of like have but then I started like actually becoming educated on each thing. And over time, I just created kind of like a checklist of stuff. And there for a while, like I would just drink like just everything. I just try everything. I was friends with every different brand. And then like once I got into bodybuilding again, I started like thinking like okay, like like what is the ultimate pre-workout? And I started putting a list of stuff together. Like, so for example, like creatine's not in pre-workout, creatine's not in Stupid Pumped. Well, creatine's kind of like depending on what season you're in, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to make it so that like creatine's a great product. And honestly, when you mix 20 to 25 grams of creatine with Stupid Pumped, dude, like that's like what it will do for the glycerol makes the creatine absorb so much better. Nobody has 5 grams of glycerol. So like glycerol is a cell hydrator and creatine is a volumization ATP booster. When you put the two together, it's really good. So I wanted a formula that people could use all the time. And then I started thinking, well, if I'm going to sell something, it has to be able to fit into different. Eventually, there will be another product called Yep Overdose. I mean, I'm already like working on the label. The next thing we're going to come out with is a creatine. We have plans for an amino. I'm like halfway done with the label. Clothing is like a big thing. I got a girl named Randy that's helping me design clothing right now. You'll eventually probably meet her one day. It's funny. I've known this girl for a year now, and I've only met her twice, and I talk to her like every day. But so I guess like I still want to challenge the industry. It's hard to challenge the industry because you have to educate the consumer.
Yeah.
And there are so many consumers that just know the basics. And when you start going outside of the basics, it's really like, it's interesting. I guess like my life has kind of prepared me to talk to some of these people. Well, actually, that like Norvaline makes the citrulline work better. So if you're like, if you want to use a lower dose, you have this, or if you want to use a higher dose, you're going to be able to use more of the citrulline too. You know what I'm saying? Or if you want to take if you're like a complete, like, if you're like me, you can do Stupid Pump with your creatine like 30 minutes before, and then you get to the gym and you take the Yep, and then you're already just pumped out of your mind before you start lifting. I mean, your body fat has to be low enough, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so I wanted unique formulas. I wanted it to be more than just formulas though too. I wanted it to be a brand. I wanted like, when I say get huge, it's not just get huge. It's like, what it really means is it's push yourself as far as you can, whatever your goal is. If your goal is bodybuilding, it's like, well, let's really get focused on it, push yourself as hard as you can. If your goal is, to be a starter on the lacrosse team, let's bring you in and let's make you ahead of everybody else going into the season so you can be in the best shape. Or if it's, that's really that's a big part of it. Like your battle cry for strength and performance. Like someone said it like really well the other day. Someone tagged me in a post and he literally created the brand off of mindset. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So part of the branding is mindset. Cause I really feel like I listen to some stuff, man, like in some other companies and just some of the stuff they put out there. And it's like, not that it's bad. It's just not true. It's just not like, it's just like, there's different methods. Okay. So you're talking about keto. You know what? If you have somebody that's not interested in bodybuilding and is severely overweight and you put them on keto, they're going to lose some weight. Right? That doesn't mean like I have to be a fan of it, but like if you have a client that just, you have no other way to work with them and you can get them to do that and follow a plan and execute it, it works. And that's really what, like, I guess my mission is like, hey, like figure out your plan and put yourself in it and make it work. And then that's like my first supplements, it was kind of like, well, pre-workout, it's like, okay, like what do I always use? I always use pre-workout, right? Well, what are things? So Stupid Pump is like, well, what are the good pump formulas? Well, the pump formulas are all right, but I think Stupid Pump, you really can't push it much farther than that and be profitable. To be honest with you, the smelling salt, I wasn't going to roll out the smelling salt until last. And then like the smelling salt, honestly, is something that has helped build my brand more than anything else. When I got in my car accident, I rolled the smelling salt out before that. I rolled the Stupid Pump out. The smelling salt, it was a budgeting thing originally. And then I realized like, people like it, and then I realized like, well, hey, I can like sample this and use this as a realistic like tool and educate people on it And now some of the people I've seen smelling salt, like I never thought of. Dude, I literally was at Flex. I saw this girl with a ball of smelling salt. She smelled it and got on a step mill. And in my head, I'm like, "You fucking with me?" I'm like, "Is this girl like?" I'm like, "Is this girl that?" So I waited, right? I was like, and I walked over there. I go, "Hey, like, do you always smell your smelling salt before you get on the step mill?" She's like, "Dude, I just got off work. I'm tired. Like, I don't really want to get on that, but as soon as I smell that, like, it wakes me up and I can do my cardio." And I'm like,
Hell yeah.
Like, dude, if that works, you know what I mean? And that's what you need, like, do it.
It's awesome.
So
Also,
and
it's a branding tool for you too, because like I always laugh at your videos. Like, dude, the fucking day you were flying somewhere and you had the lady in the airplane seat next to you smell them, I was like, what is this motherfucker doing?
she bought it.
He did.
She bought it.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, that's the thing though. Like, dude, I mean, I never, when I came out with smelling salt, I honestly just really expected to sell it to bodybuilders, but they're
John's
just,
at fashion parties, fucking whipping smelling salts out of his pants, and
they'll buy it. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's like, well, I think some people buy it because of the novelty factor too. You know what I mean?
yeah, to fuck up other people. So, dude, one day, so we got those new shakers, and Brandon put the smelling salts in the bottom of it, and he was getting people all day. He's like, "Oh man, these shakers kind of smell weird," and they would go to smell it and would fucking smack him in the face. It was so funny. He hit, Garen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he had it closed for like a couple hours, and Garen came in, and it hit Garen so hard he had tears in his eyes.
Dude, well, here's
we
the
have
thing about
we have like 8 bottles of Wake the F Up like just floating around on the gym floor,
Yeah.
like random stations. Yeah.
Well, making Wake the F Up was interesting because, like, I mean, you can make it stronger, right? Like, if I wanted to, I could make it stronger, but I think it gets to a point where it's like unnecessary,
Yeah.
right? You want to smell it to where it activates fight or flight. It gives you a rush of adrenaline. It opens up your sinuses, but it's not going to like hurt you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I tried a thing of ammonia the other day. This thing cost $50. And I'm like, why the fuck would you use that? Like, I just don't get it. I'm like, there's no point in even using this product because it's like, it's like, first of all, someone's gonna sue you. Second of all, it like ruins the concept, right? Like most of them aren't that strong because it makes it more expensive. But now there's one other one. I'm like, they're gonna get sued. Like it makes no sense to even like do it like that. You know what I'm saying? So like I guess like
I smelled one time, and I could smell it from my belly button. Like I just opened it and it hit me, and like I couldn't even get close to it. It was so strong. And it was so strong, I almost couldn't even like do my set for a second.
They're putting other stuff in them now too. Like they're putting like peppers and like I'm like, what's the point?
Why does it need to be spicy? Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
I smelled this one and I felt like I got sprayed in the face with mace. And I'm like in my head, so I start thinking, I'm like, okay, I gotta make a stronger smelling salt than this. But then I'm like, that ruins the purpose. So like why, like, I think that's the other thing in the space too that you see that becomes a problem is when people go like completely over the top and honestly, I think when you overstimulate, okay, so we talked about comorbidity factors, right? And honestly, like I do drink a lot of caffeine. Well, if caffeine's a stressor, right? One thing that I think that's helped me over the years, and we talk about sleep. I mean, obviously, like I have some things I do with it, but like I think also like the way you handle your stress. Like if you're stressed out all day, you require more sleep. If you're like drinking 1,3-dimethylalanine and you're taking Adderall and you're doing all this stuff, it completely just fries your adrenals, right?
Yeah.
Well, like when I was thinking of my pre-workout, I'm like, well, what are some other ingredients that can help prevent adrenal fatigue, right? Tyrosine, right? Like, so I'm like, tyrosine is a good thing to put in your pre-workout because if someone takes the pre-workout that has tyrosine in it, although maybe they've taken caffeine for a long time, the tyrosine is going to help them with that adrenal fatigue. So they're going to fill the pre-workout more. You see what I'm saying? So like for me, it was more about like, how do you make a well thought out formula that's going to help people that they can use like what's also great about mine, you can use it for different principles, right? Like, let's say you just like want like a healthy energy drink. I mean, there's no food coloring in it. There's not any calories in it. It's 75 grams of caffeine, 75 grams of theobromine, huperzine A, alpha GPC, tyrosine. I mean, that's like a good like brain drink.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you're like want to do cardio, so like there's different applications to it too. So I wanted something, I wanted a brand message that I guess what I want to do is I want to be able to penetrate the market more. And I want to continue to be able to penetrate the market more. But I don't want to do it. You can penetrate the market just to get sales, and you can penetrate the market to make a statement, which requires money.
Yeah.
That's something I learned to do real fast. So like I'm trying, what I'm doing right now is I'm penetrating the market. I'm making a statement. I'm making people see like other things, which hopefully like opens people's minds up, right? Like they're like, oh, like, like if they're not like, obviously like you can't coach everybody. I can't coach everybody. You can't, there's someone, but hopefully like maybe they see the brand message and they start to think of other principles. Oh,
yeah.
Like maybe they questions their mindset. Like, because the mindset, I mean, if you're coaching anybody, like that's like the first part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is getting them in the right mindset of like, hey, like you got to make better choices with your diet. It's not going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. And then making it to where it can apply. So I guess like, with my brand, I want to challenge people to think about what they're actually doing instead of like, what's the next best thing. I want to challenge people to, go to better people. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, like you guys, like obviously, like, like the better trainers all get along and know each other because they have their, and also too, it's like, how do you define better trainer?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think like we were talking about different people, like, I want people to be able to go to the gym, get a good workout, to not get sucked into just like bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I want people like, and I want to hold myself to that message too, where I'm not putting out bullshit.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it. How many supplement companies have you seen just buy fake followers?
Oh, dude, it's insane. Yeah,
But
and they're out and they're a flash in the pan, or it's like they put so much money into just half naked women with their products that people buy it, and it's like they're trash.
Yeah, I know. So that's the message I don't want. So I guess my branding, like, it kind of comes from my background where I want to touch different people. I want to drive them to perform at a higher level, and I want to be able to educate the consumers as I continue to roll out my brand. And I want it to be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to have the uniqueness to it, and and like that's kind of like with the packaging. But like some of this clothing that we're going to come out with, I'm like really excited too, because like I've had a really hard time with clothing and I've had some bad experiences, and right now I feel like I'm in a really interesting spot actually, kind of like in my journey right now. Like going into this, like I came out of a divorce, like I was broke. I built my money back up again. Then I jumped into this full blow, blew through a lot of money real fast. Some of it needed to make some mistakes and learn. Some of it probably could have spent better. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like it's a product. It's like what's really crazy is how big it's gotten.
Yeah.
It's like when you see somebody in like Africa with your smelling salt, you're like, okay, I did something.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or like you like or when Amazon's like, hey, we need 500. You're like, oh shit, like I need like more. Or it's like, okay, now it's like we turn the pre-workout onto Prime. It's like we need more. It's like, okay, we need to come out with another product. Well, coming out with another product, it's not just like you come out with another product. You come out with the product, you got to put on every fucking platform. You got to get it to everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely like it's been one of the most challenging things I've ever done.
And what to make a product? I mean, you're like 6 months to a year from I want to make a new product to selling the first canister or the first jug of it. Yeah.
And you're in this alone too, right? Like you're the one who's doing pretty much everything.
I'm not doing everything. Right now, I've had a hard time finding, man, through this whole thing. Like Well, I guess like, so I get in this car accident, and when I got in a car accident, it put me back quite a bit. Like, I didn't do some of the normal treatments. You know, I did platelet-rich plasma, I did stem cells, which was more expensive. Instead of waiting for my settlement, I just went out and bought a car. Like I did some stuff that, and then I was injured, and I'm like trying to figure out like how to like even conduct myself.
Yeah.
You know, and now I'm like over that. But like right now, like it's like we are to where we're the spot where we are starting to really have some things roll together.
Yeah.
So eventually, like I really foresee us like, I mean, we're up. When we look at our business, it's like less than 30% Amazon. It's like, then you look at like our I kind of put like website, event sales are a big one. Wholesale is a big one. You know, it's like you have to grow in everything.
Yeah.
And if you're not, like, it's just, what I guess, like, you have to protect the brand, you have to protect the pricing, you have to be cool with everybody. But in order to really like grow, you have to be on everything. You have to,
Yep.
like, so you're smothering yourself. And it's a hard way, it's a hard thing to navigate. But I guess like where I'm going with is like right now, like is probably like one of the hardest parts, and we're about to make it through it. And man, when I make it over this hump, I mean, like literally, like in this next year, I mean, if I could win my pro card, right? I'm supposed to get a pretty sizable settlement, which will like, dude, like I'm sick of waiting. I'm sick. I've told myself I'm done waiting for it. Like when the day it happens, it happens. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. It's like never worth it.
I got a settlement from a wreck, and it was like, I think it was only a year. It was pretty quick, but still, it was like you just have to plan on not getting anything, because if you get your hopes up, then they're just dashed.
Yeah, because you're like, here I am, like trying to grow a brand. I'm like, I could totally need this money right now.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
being like held in front of you, and you're like chasing it, and what it actually does is it inspires you to spend more than you should, thinking this money is coming.
it's gonna come in.
Get like,
and then your lawyer is like, "Oh, you got $100,000," and then they send you a check for like 30, and they're like, "Where's the other 60?" And they're like, "Oh, well, after that, we had to pay this and my fees," and it's like, "But you made more off this than I did."
yeah. Well, no, I mean, that's like, so like mine is coming in two parts, and like after I got the first part, I was like, wow. But the next part is supposed to be like everybody's pretty much paid off now. I just got to pay my lawyer fees. So that'd be. But the rehab from that was like kind of crazy, because I tore my labrum in my left shoulder. I tore cartilage and meniscus in my right knee. I herniated all the disc in my neck. Jesus. And then like as I was getting better, I tore my right pec. I'm like, great. Now I gotta get more PRP and more stem cells.
Yeah, when it rains, it pours,
dude,
man.
have you ever done it? Or have you ever seen it? Dude, it's a shady world. So again, I met this guy in Miami, and I went to his clinic in California, which he actually doesn't live in California. He just moved now. But I show up to this place, and the dude, like, it's funny because you meet certain people and you just don't realize who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this dude's like, yeah, like I met him, and he was talking to me about it. He's like, well, if you ever need help, like, here's my number, just text me. So I text this dude, just like I didn't know what to do with my life. The next thing you know, I'm in LA getting PRP and stem cells. You know, and I'm like, well,
it's crazy, man. You never know who you're gonna meet. You gotta be ready at all times.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, like, so one of the things you were saying earlier, and I've got completely off subject again.
You're good.
One of the things you were saying earlier in the podcast, you're right. People shouldn't push drugs. But one thing I would say is I feel like there are healthy choices that the world isn't using right now. Like
100%.
For example, something like Anavar. Dude, like that is so like applicable to like so many different things. It could help so many different people, but it's just not even being. I feel like it's not being used right in the medical field. I feel like.
I mean, let's just start with testosterone. I mean, half of America could use a testosterone shot.
Yeah,
literally and metaphorically, it's like they could grow a pair, and their testosterone levels are also in the dumps. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is,
But
though, man.
yeah, I got way off.
Yo, you're good. So what? So what does the future of Yep
Yeah.
look like? Like what? I know you already said you have some products like in the pipeline. Like, what are you wanting Yep to do in the next 3 years? Have you read a book called Vivid Vision?
I haven't.
Okay, you should look it up. It's by damn, I can't remember who it's by. It's on Amazon, but basically it's
Vision.
about yeah, it's called Vivid Vision. And one of my buddies, Chad, he was on the podcast earlier. He's with Big
Chad
Biscuit.
Nichols.
His name's Chad Offerdahl.
Yeah,
He
yeah, yeah.
owns Big Biscuit here in town.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're one of your clients.
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
actually gave it to me, and wow, dude, it changed my life. And it talks about you map out 3 years of your business at a time, but not only you map out your business, but you map out your personal life and all these other things. And it's like as you checking things off, you're supposed to check them off the list because you're basically writing like a news article about yourself, like how someone would write it about you, and then you're supposed to go through it, read it, and deliver it to your team. And it's like, this is what we're going for the next 3 years, but you're supposed to just like fucking make it astronomical.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the 3 years, go through and look at what you've done and then do another one for the next 3 years. So it's like, if you could imagine the next 3 years, like what do you want Yep to do? And what do you want John Ott to be able to do?
Well, I want to win my pro card next year in bodybuilding. I want to launch the creatine, an amino, and Yep overdosed.
Okay.
I want to launch clothing for sure.
Hey, you should
Well-
launch a stronger smelling salt, and then so you'll have Wake the F Up, and you can have Wake the F Up, bitch.
I don't know if it's worth it. I thought
know.
about it.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Well, I know. I think the problem is like, when I first came out with that product, it was kind of hard to get like insurance for, and we've had like no claims, which is great, and
So you don't want to push it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's just like I almost want to just because, but I'm like I look at myself, I'm like, okay, is this the ego move?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right? Like, okay, I could probably make money on it. Like, but is it like that's the problem with all this shit, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I get it.
I mean, I'll probably, because smelling salt is honestly like the thing we're known for. I gotta figure that part out, because that's something I've thought a lot about. I guess the thing is like I wouldn't want to use a stronger one.
Yeah.
I kind of like where ours is and how long it lasts, and like I think if I was going to come out with another one, I would explore an option of not using the cotton balls.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because
big,
I feel like if you came out with a stronger one, your market would go from here to like right here. You know what I mean?
I feel like it would just switch. I feel like it would switch some people.
Off
We
of
would
it.
change some hands. Honestly, I feel like it would just open up problems. I just feel like it would just be more of a problem thing. Because like,
Doesn't
I
seem
mean,
right.
yeah, the smelling salt, I honestly feel like is one of the best packaging. The packaging is clean on it. The branding stands out. And people just really like it. Now, there actually is another part of my business plan I'm not going to talk about, but is another smelling salt marketed to a completely different group of people.
Okay.
I'll just leave it like that.
I like it. So we're at apparel. So you want to get apparel launched.
For
And then
fighters,
what?
isn't it?
Yeah.
What is? No, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not gonna tell you. You'll laugh at it. I actually got the name of it. I got the name of it. You'll laugh. Well, one day it'll happen. You guys will be like,
All right.
I mean,
Like I knew about this years ago.
I have to keep so one thing I have to do, and I this is something is I have to stay balanced. I do have to keep online coaching going too. I think that not just because like I think I need it for the steady flow of income and to fund stuff.
Yeah.
But I also think it keeps me thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's part of branding too.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think
You
it
know,
makes things easier if you know, you don't have to make a living from yet. You know what I mean? It's like if you can make or majority of your living off something else, then it's less stressful. And I feel like you're able to kind of push and grow better.
well, I
Because
think
well,
like
and at the same time, you
coming
have more money freed up.
well coming into this, like I was working for GNC as a regional sales director. I was coaching, and I was selling shoes, and I was moving a lot of crypto, which I'm not really interested in crypto anymore right now at the time. But like those were the four things I was doing four things. Right now, I mean, I'm still doing three, but like I think Yep. Eventually, what I want to do is I want to get Yep big enough to where I got to build out a team. I
Yeah.
guess you say, what do you want to do? I got to build out a team. We got to continue to challenge ourselves on we got to get more equipment. I want to continue to produce it myself, and I think the long term vision isn't just producing our own line; it's manufacturing for other people. Because
Cool.
there are some best practices, like there's some stuff I've figured out how to do with glycerol that could probably help a lot of other companies.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple. I think like the way we're doing it, we can even do it better with the glycerol. Like we got it to
Nice.
where it works for us, but we could do it on a bigger scale. So I think I want to build out. I know I want to build out the rest of my line. I want to come out with clothing. I want to put the clothing in the Kansas City Fashion Show. I think that would be cool. I want to win my pro card in bodybuilding. And those are the, I guess when you say for the next year, those are the things too. I want to, I think like you got to think, you talk about your own personal life. Um, I'm interested to see where stuff goes with Randy, the girl I've been kind of talking to for a year. You
Yeah.
know, because I literally like I haven't been in like a real relationship in like since I broke up with my ex-girlfriend when I moved here. And part of that is because I don't think that right now is a good time in my life
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that. But then at the same time, like if I could find the right person, like you know what I'm saying, it could
Yeah.
be very
It's only
helpful.
going to
But
amplify what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
man, that right person, that's the hard thing to do. And honestly, like so like right now, um, I've done a pretty good job, like, you know, like I always challenge myself. It gets hard, like because it's like you know at first like when you become a bodybuilder, like you have a lot of weird shit happen, right? Like you have these weird gay dudes like sending you messages, and the next thing you know, it becomes like decent looking pretty girls, and then it's like hot girls, and you're like, okay, like I need to stay away from all this because it's just another temptation that's gonna like
Yeah. Just distractions.
potentially ruin my whole branding and career. And I just
Yeah.
like you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, like so like that's like a interesting spot. You know, I've had like some people like you know, like me and Jenny did some stuff for a while and like we got really close and you know, I've talked to a couple other people, but I think that's something eventually I do actually have to like stabilize in my life too. You know what I'm saying? I think that's part of it. Like spiritually, I think, you know, I go to this church called Kingdom City Church, and I think that that's been like really really good for me. You know, and that's a whole nother network too. You
Yeah.
know, um, so I think right now it's I have to get a baseline for online coaching clients. No, I don't want that many more. Honestly, I need to keep a steady baseline for it. I can't stop. Eventually, I need to really mold them. I really want just more specific bodybuilding focus. I think
Mhm.
I want I want to finish out the products I told you. Clothing is going to be a big one um, in the pro card. And then I want to continue to do more events too. I think the events are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're really good. Yeah.
Yeah. You should definitely keep doing that.
So what is Marcus, do you have any questions left or I got a couple.
No. You're good. You're good.
So what is as we kind of wrap things up here, so we've been going for what, like an hour and a half. What are some things that what's like a piece of advice you would give someone who maybe wants to go into the supplement industry or things that or just in general, who someone has goals that they want to attain?
I think that it's going to get really hard at some point. I think that's where a lot of people fail. I think that's like the best of okay. So when um I think that there's never a perfect time to start something, ever.
Yesterday.
And
yeah.
And I think that when you start something, you're going to make mistakes, right? But I think the person that learns from their mistakes and evolves is the person, and it's ultimately going to be successful. And when you try to like do something big, the bigger you go and the more you scale, the more difficult it is.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is, putting in your reps.
Yep.
I think a lot of people don't want to put in the work and don't want to put in the reps. And when it gets hard, that's usually when you're about to make it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times people stop when it gets really hard, but you gotta push through that hump and not let things stand in your way, and you gotta keep your message clean.
I like it.
I like it.
I think a lot of people could, get a lot from that into their lives. I think a lot of people they quit when things get hard, or one thing I've learned about some of these books I've been reading is that like how many times we're like conditioned. Oh, play it safe. Oh, okay, be realistic. It's like
And find comfort. Yeah, people
and
want to
find comfort. Yeah.
Yeah.
People are constantly pushing you to just be normal, find comfort, and it's like stop pushing the boundaries. And it's like, but why? Like why can't I do more? Why can't I keep pushing? You know what I mean? I think that's great.
That's something that I noticed with your story though, John, is that you've continuously looked away from comfort. Like you've gotten these comfortable things, like you've leveled up, you've got to the highest, tier of all these different things. And then you're like, all right, that's fucking easy. Like I want to start something else. I want to find a new challenge. I want to find a new way to grow. And it might be completely, different than what you've ever done before. But I think that's what's cool is that you are avoiding comfort, because that's when you step outside of that comfort zone, that's obviously where we always grow. And that's obviously what you've done in multiple areas of your life.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it. If you never met John and you just hear him talk one time, it's like I forget where we were. I think I want to say I was in Des Moines competing, but I already knew him and I was friends with him. But he was like 4 hours away the day prior. He slept in his car, drove there, left at like midnight, drove, slept in his car again, and then was like, I don't know, fucking Illinois. I don't know. It's like the drive is there. So it's like it's just like the hustle. You have to respect the hustle. And like
100%.
we've known each other for a little while now, and it's like he's gone through a lot of bullshit in the time, and it's like he just keeps pushing forward. Whereas a lot of people, they would have just been like, all right, well, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
That's what happens though, like with everything. I mean, Caleb, like you starting 2 gyms, I mean, that's a big thing. That's like massive. Like, and you have a wife and you have kids, like, just trying to think about like that's like, obviously like you had some struggles, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I mean, we still have struggle. Like, I'm gonna do. I know we haven't really talked about it, but I'm sure me and Mark's will do a podcast just on the struggle from opening up Lee Summit. Because I know I haven't talked to you about it, but Marcus is like he knows everything, and it's like Lee Summit was about as close as it could be to not opening.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You had so many roadblocks that it would have been easy to been like, you know what, let's just call it a fucking L and move on with it.
Honestly, yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, it crossed my mind.
I'm sure it did.
But that's just not who I am.
No.
You know what I mean? I just got to keep moving, and I would have been disappointed in myself if I did that, and I would have been embarrassed. I would have been embarrassed if I did that.
That would have been very embarrassing.
Not only for myself, but I felt like it would have embarrassed my wife. I felt like it would have embarrassed my kid, and it's like, who am I as a man to show my family that I just gave up on something because it was hard? Like,
exactly.
I can't stand that.
Yeah. But I would it's like you embarrass you embarrass yourself. It's like because your name's on it and you've done all these things and you obviously opened a successful gym before. And I think that's a great thing to end on is you're talking about like what makes people stronger. It's the way they deal with pressure.
Yep.
It's the way they handle pressure, the way people handle pressure. And I think that's like also we're talking about coaching. I think that's something that makes a good coach is they teach people how to handle pressure.
Handle pressure. And that's why I love, you said you read this book Relentless like 10, 12 times. It's like, I'm only like 10 pages in and I already love it because I've always preached that like we kind of all have a dark side, and I'm definitely not, Tim Grover here. But I've always loved to use like my dark side to push me through. And it's like I take all the shit that you hear and all the shit talk. And I know there's people here in Kansas City that probably shit talk you, John. They shit talk you, Marcus. They shit talk me. They're probably shit talking our podcast right now. And it's like all we can do is to continue to take that, harness it, push bigger and bigger and bigger until one day, Kansas City, you can't go anywhere without hearing about Body Shop, Thriving Lives, or Yep Strength. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just going to happen, and that's just going to piss people more off. But it's like, yeah, you love it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a line in that book. It talks about an athlete falling out of the zone.
Yep. It's like the first like 5 pages.
And I remember like I'm sitting there at the kitchen table. This is when I'm like about to get divorced, right? And I'd come home, I'd like put headphones on and I'd read. Literally, that's like what I would do. I just didn't want to. And I was sitting there. I remember I'm sitting there at the table and I'm like crying. I pick up the book and I throw it. And I'm like walking outside. I'm like, man, like I'm not living my life the right way. Like this is just not right. Like it's like, and I think that I guess what I worry about is how many people get stuck in that and never get out.
All the time. All the time.
Yeah.
And that's how they live the rest of their life.
Yeah. I would say that's a vast majority, like 99.9% of people.
Because we're taught to live comfortably and not push the limits and just make your job, pay your bills, you know, have maybe 1,000 or 2 in the bank for emergencies. And it's like, but what happens when, you know, 20 years from now, it's like, what have you done? And it's like, I know not everyone is into that, but it's like, if I'm not progressing, I'm regressing.
Yeah.
But on the opposite spectrum, you know, with people like you, John, and, you know, Marcus and I, it's like, there comes a point where it's like, when is it enough? And it's almost like our downfall, because it's like, if we're not progressing, we're regressing. But there has to eventually come a time where it's like, you think you would want to be like, okay, this is enough. But I don't know if you can, because it's like,
growth is just
you
too
know,
fun.
it's just
too fun.
It's too fun. You know, Lee Summit, I thought was going to kill me. And I was like, fuck this. I don't know, man. And then like it opened and I was like, all right, Liberty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, John's like, fuck, man, getting stupid pump out has been fucking brutal.
Yeah.
I'm done. Okay, aminos. You know what I mean? It's like, you just, as soon as one opens, it's like you're on to the next.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's what life is. I mean, I think like what it is you got to figure out what you love, and you got to like you got to have seasons too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I think like, you know, over the next 5 years, it's really building out Yep Strength. I'm interested in other things too. I think one day I do want to be married, and I do want to have a kid. I don't want to have a kid. I want to get married when I'm 40. I want to have a kid when I'm 45.
Well, here's the thing, John. I think,
If it works out.
Yeah, I think you'll find somebody. You will,
Yeah.
and I think when you find that person, and like, you can't plan. I don't think, to have kids. I think it's kind of hard. It's like,
Yeah.
but honestly, it's like, from my experience, and I'm about to have my second, it is more enjoyable when it's a surprise than when you're trying. It's like, because when you're trying, it feels like work, and then one day, you know, you're walking around and your girl's like, I'm pregnant now. You're like, oh shit, oh, well, all right, let's just roll with it. You know, it's kind of more natural, and it's like, you think you're motivated now, like, wait until you have someone or some things that rely on you 100%. And it's like, that's why I said I felt like I was kind of out of the zone. I wasn't doing enough, like we kind of talked about earlier, and I need to do more, because it's like, now that I have another person coming, it's like, well, what I'm doing now is sufficing for a family of 3. Well, I have a family of 4 now, so it's like I have to push, you know, extra. You know, it's not enough. And I think once you find that, I think even though you're already operating at a high level, I think you're going to find even another level to push up to. And at the same time, you'll be able to, it'll force you to have to balance your life a little. So I think you'll push harder, but you'll get more done and have a better, not saying you have a poor quality of life, but like, I think you'll have a little more like freedom, if that makes sense.
Well, I think in some, I guess like in some people, like in retro, well, I don't have a poor quality of life. I think a lot of times I choose.
Yeah, and I didn't mean you had a poor quality of life.
No. I understand what you're saying, because like honestly, like I think some people like wouldn't like really enjoy my life at all.
Yeah.
You know, and I think about that, and like I think that's like part of like my evolution. Like, you know, like it was a challenge for me. It was a good thing for me to get involved. Okay, let me talk. I'm going to talk about Kansas City Fashion for a second because
Okay.
I think they deserve just like a little bit on this because of what they do. So, like,
Maybe we
Kansas
should
City,
link up with them sometime and get them on the podcast.
bro, yeah, like people don't understand. Like, so first of all, like the group is like a lot of talented individuals just from all over the place. Like they have some kind of hidden talent. I think, yeah, like there is like a party factor to it, and like that's something that I have to be really careful about. But also, that's something that me being in that circle, I bring some health to that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like that, and honestly, like these people trying to be in fashion, like that adds a lot of value. But like they're raising a lot of money. JG, he runs the show. His name's Jordan. He's also like he's one of the best MCs I've ever seen in my life. He's really good at like controlling energy in a room. Like you can literally sit there and watch it. He knows how to control the tone of energy, and it's like one thing he's blessed with. I don't know his whole story, but I mean, he was a foster kid and growing up, and he gives a lot of money back. A lot of these events, like he's not really. I don't really know how much money he's making because he's donating so much of it. You know what I'm saying? So like I think it's something now where it's profitable, but he's giving away so much money
That's
to all
awesome.
these different foundations. It's pretty amazing, and he's bringing people together that you know the fashion world is almost like not all of it, but like it's like people that like never found quite like what they're the best at,
Mm-hmm.
but they're like good looking and have some kind of skill. You know what I'm saying? It's very interesting. It's a group that, um, you know, like I think JG and Brad and those guys have like figured out a way because fashion's hard, man, because it's very superficial.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's very superficial. Like let's just face it, when you're spending like ridiculous amounts of money and you don't have it on clothes you don't need, like that's bad. But I think like what JG has done is he's found a way to bring people together for a good cause in different groups. He has no like he just wants to bring good people together. You know what I'm saying? And like I just wonder like you have like S2, they bring a lot of the gyms together. I'm trying to do similar things with my brand.
Mhm.
You have him, he has a completely different fashion show. I mean, you look at like some of the different components here, like it just elevates everything.
Yeah.
You know, I never in a million years ever thought I'd be in a fashion show, but I think it's cool. I think honestly, I think it's cool. I think it's a great network. The network, I mean, the network and the people you meet are just like I have a rap song. Well, three quarters rap song. One day, I'm gonna stand on a stage. I'm gonna sing this rap song. And people are gonna be like, "That just happened."
Yeah. And I want to be there, honestly.
So, and another thing we talked about, you'll see in my future stand-up comedy.
I love that.
Yep.
That's another thing. I started practicing for that, and I got really into it. And it's really just like you can only do so many things,
Yeah.
and that's something that
That
like,
shit takes time.
dude, people have no idea.
Yeah.
I was practicing so hard because I thought like I had this paid gig. I did. It just didn't work out. And so like here I am like practicing. Um I I walk into this club in Iowa, this comedy club in Iowa, and like they were having like it was I mean, it wasn't like a great group, but I had like the whole place laughing, and I don't have any video of it. And I'm like so upset about it. Like, I just wish I would have set up a camera in the corner
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I feel like, you know what I mean? Because at that
Yeah.
point, I kind of had it going. But I think that's something I want to explore. It's just like
Cool.
right now, if it's not in fitness or making me money somehow, I'm not doing it.
No, yeah. That's just a fun distraction with it. But yeah, stay.
I was
focused.
spending hours. I was spending like an
Yeah.
hour a day
Yeah.
doing that for a while, like talking to myself.
Yeah.
And trying to come up with like different routines and like then I'd like practice them on people
Well, then you
was
got to start
fun.
going to open mics and stuff. And I mean, it's awesome if you have time for that kind of passion, you know, in a side thing to do with it. But yeah, I don't think you have the energy or the.
I
I think the
messaged
energy. I don't think you have the time to do it.
I messaged somebody. Well, I messaged the comedy. I messaged the comedy club, and I had done some open mics. I got really into comedy when I was back in Washington, and this place was basically like, what they say? They said we don't do stand up all the time, but if you want to come, you can. And I'm like, okay. Then I started talking to him like, hey, I want to invite some of my friends. And then I'm like, how many seats are in here? And then I'm like, well, if I like sell enough tickets, can you guys just give me like a cut? And then we ended up like working out like a deal. It was like that's like
Hell
one of
yeah.
the things like all this has taught me. Like now I'm suddenly making a deal on something that I've never done.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I'm like, how cool would it be to get paid to do your like first comedy gig?
That would be fucking insane.
Yeah. Well, that's what's cool about business is that like a lot of people don't get that, and I'm still learning too. Is that like just because someone says one thing, that doesn't mean what it is. Like you can counter. You know what I mean? It's like you never take the first offer. It's like, well, what about this? All right, what about that? Okay, well, let's do this.
That's a growth thing. That's a growth thing, and that's you're right, 100%.
Yeah. So, well, man, I think we crushed it today, John. Tell everyone where they can find you. You know, your socials, your products, like all that good stuff.
Instagram is @smash and _strength. TikTok is now officially @smash. Someone told me that my old TikTok name was John Ott 253, and I had no idea. And someone changed it for me the other day.
That's hilarious.
Except I'm not like a big TikTok fan. I'm very active on Snapchat too, except don't message me on Snapchat. I had some videos go viral, and that network is completely just done. John Ott on Facebook, and Strength. I'm active on Facebook too. That's a whole different group, and I think it's important too when you're talking about social media. It's a lot of time, but you got to diversify yourself on them.
Yep, it is. Yep.
And yepstrength.com is our website.
I was going to ask about the website too. Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah.
And then you can get all of his products from him, Amazon, or S2 here in town.
Supplement superstores in town. Yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well,
Awesome.
thanks for being on,
dude.
man. It's good getting to know you because I mean, I've only met you a couple times in the gym, but you got a cool story, brother.
Thank you, man. I got to get to know you better too.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah, man.
Awesome. Well, we will, John, if I don't see you soon, I'll see you next Saturday. Yeah. And let's just all have a great week.
Yep. All right, guys. I'll see y'all later.
Have a good week.